She playfully sat on him, unaware it triggered a human mating response. The Unity station floated between 3 star systems like a metal island in a sea of light. It was one of the first places where many species worked together every day. Humans were still new here, still being studied, still being quietly judged. Ethan Hale stood near the central observation ring, checking a diagnostic pad. He was an engineer, trained to stay calm even when alarms screamed. His posture was relaxed, his face unreadable. To most species, he looked ordinary. But humans had learned long ago how to hide storms behind still water. The station was celebrating a small success. A power relay had been repaired without shutting down the habitat ring. Music, soft and strange, played through the air, tuned to be comfortable for as many species as possible. Lights dimmed slightly, shifting colors like a slow aurora bicycle. Lirasha moved through the crowd with natural grace. She was from the Varelli species, tall and light-boned, with skin that shimmered faintly when she was happy. In her culture, physical closeness was common. Sitting, leaning, touching, it all meant trust, nothing more. Ooh. She spotted Ethan standing alone. Humans, she had noticed, often stood apart during social moments, not because they disliked others, but because they seemed careful. Lirasha smiled and approached him. "You fixed the relay?" she said, her voice warm. Ethan looked up. "Team effort," he replied. No, his words were short but polite. In Varelli culture, short replies meant shyness. Shyness invited friendliness. Lirasha glanced around. Seats were limited, and most were occupied by multi-limbed beings who needed more space. Without thinking, she turned and lightly sat on the edge of the bench Ethan was using. Close, almost touching, partly on him. To her brain, it was nothing. To Ethan's brain, it was everything. The human nervous system reacted instantly, not with desire, not with loss of control, but with connection. Deep inside Ethan's mind, ancient systems woke up. Systems built when humans lived in small groups, when survival depended on bonds, protection, and awareness. Heart rate increased. Up. Focus sharpened. Muscles subtly tensed. And didn't move. Outwardly, Ethan remained calm, almost frozen. Years of training and social awareness kept him still. But inside, something clicked into place. Protect, be alert, be ready. Lirasha felt his body stiffen slightly and tilted her head. "Did I offend you?" "No," Ethan said quickly. "Too quickly." "You're fine." But the station was already noticing. Unity Station's medical AI monitored all crew for safety. Didn't understand culture. It understood numbers. And Ethan's numbers just spiked, heart rate elevated, neural activity focused, hormonal markers unusual but controlled. The AI flagged it, alert, human subject exhibiting rare neurobiological response, possible stress or threat reaction. Across the station, a soft chime echoed only in command channels. Dr. Kess, a 4-eyed Trin medic, looked up from his console. Why is a human showing a threat pattern during a celebration? Security officers quietly shifted position. Lirasha noticed none of this. She leaned back slightly, relaxed. "Your species celebrates very quietly," she said playfully. Ethan forced a small smile. "We're good at thinking." That was true. Humans thought best when something mattered. And right now, something did. Ethan became aware of things he had ignored moments before. A slight delay in the air circulation, a flicker in the lights that wasn't part of the celebration pattern. Wah, a vibration under his feet, too regular to be random. His eyes moved, slow and casual, scanning reflections in the glass. Something was wrong. Across the room, the station commander, a tall insectoid being named Varix, received the AI alert. His antennae twitched in confusion. "Why would a human feel threatened?" Varix asked. Dr. Kess studied the data. "They are complicated. Their biology links emotion, bonding, and danger in strange ways." Named. Security whispered among themselves. Lirasha finally noticed the tension. She slid off the bench and stood beside Ethan instead. Instantly, Ethan's internal systems eased, but did not shut down. The bond response had been triggered, and it did not simply fade. He exhaled slowly. "I think something's wrong with the station," he said. Varix turned toward him. Explain. Ethan stepped forward, confidence clear now. Power readings are stable, but not natural. Word. Someone is riding the system. Watching. The room fell silent. That is impossible, Varix said. Our sensors are being fed clean data, Ethan finished. I don't need sensors. I feel it. Several species exchanged uneasy looks. Was a rumor, not a fact. LaRasha looked at Ethan with new eyes. You changed, she said softly. Ethan nodded. You sat down. My brain thought it meant something important. It made me sharper. Dr. Kess blinked all four eyes. Your bonding reflex increases threat detection? Yes, Ethan said simply. When humans care, we survive. An alarm sounded. This one real. Outer ring communication dropped for half a second. Half a second was enough. Varix straightened. Ways all stations to alert positions. As crew members rushed into motion, LaRasha felt a strange chill. Her harmless action had started something powerful. She had not weakened a human, she had awakened one. Ethan moved with purpose now, directing teams, pointing out failures before they happened. Other humans nearby seemed to fall into step with him, trusting his instincts without question. Unity Station had believed humans were emotional. They were wrong. Humans were responsive. And something somewhere in the dark beyond the station had just made the worst possible mistake. Unity Station no longer felt like a place of celebration. Lights shifted from soft colors to sharp white, doors sealed in layers, but the gentle music stopped, replaced by quiet warning tones that echoed through the long halls. Ethan Hale moved fast, but never rushed. His mind felt clear, almost calm, like the world had slowed down just for him. Every sound had meaning. Every vibration told a story. He stopped at a wall panel and placed his hand against it. There, he said, signal bleed. Commander Varix watched him closely. You detected that without tools. Ethan nodded. Humans evolved in dangerous places. When something threatens what we care about, our bodies change how we see the world. Dr. Kess followed behind, studying Ethan's readings on a floating screen. Your heart rate is elevated but controlled. Fear should cause panic. You show focus. It's not fear, Ethan replied. It's responsibility. LaRasha stayed close, her shimmering skin now dimmer with worry. This is because of me, isn't it? Ethan glanced at her. You didn't cause the threat, you just helped me notice it. That did not fully comfort her. Security teams spread out across the station, guided by Ethan's instructions. He pointed out weak points before alarms reached them. He predicted system failures seconds before they occurred. To the non-human crew, it felt unsettling. To the humans, it felt familiar. Crew members began showing similar signs, quieter voices. Sharper eyes, small movements that placed them between danger and others without thinking, whispered to Varix. This reaction is spreading among their species. Varix's mandibles clicked softly. A chain response? No, the doctor said slowly. A shared state. In the command center, screens suddenly flickered. A symbol appeared for less than a second. Alien, angular, aggressive. Then it vanished. Silence followed. That was not random interference, Varix said. No, Ethan agreed. That was a test. LaRasha hugged her arms. Who would test us? Ethan didn't answer right away. His eyes were on the stars beyond the glass. Someone who thinks we're weak. As if in response, the station shuddered. Not from impact, but from pressure. Gravity shifted slightly, just enough to be noticed. A synthetic voice echoed through Unity Station. That? Attention! External force detected. Origin unknown. Panic spread among some of the crew. Species unused to danger reacted loudly. The humans did not. They moved. Ethan keyed into a console. They're pushing the station's gravity field. Not enough to break us. Crurred enough to scare us. Varix stared at the readings. Why? Because fear makes mistakes, Ethan said. But we're not afraid. Another human engineer, Mara Lu, stepped beside him. We felt it too. Like something poked the hive. Ethan allowed a brief smile. Yeah! That. Dr. Kess watched them. Fascinated. You become more unified under threat. Always have, Mara replied. Larasha listened carefully. Your bonding reflex, it connects you to each other too? Ethan nodded. When one of us cares, others notice. When many of us care, we become hard to stop. Outside the station, something moved in the dark. A ship, sleek and sharp, half hidden behind distorted space. The Kithari, a species that survived by intimidation, watched silently. They had studied Unity Station. They knew the species aboard. They had decided humans were the weakest. Too emotional, too soft, too slow. The Kithari commander tilted his head. The humans should be panicking by now. A subordinate hesitated. They are not, Commander. They are organizing. When? Inside Unity Station, Ethan's instincts screamed, not panic, but direction. They're close, he said. Not attacking yet. Waiting. For what? Barracks asked. For us to beg, Ethan replied. Larasha swallowed. Will we? Ethan looked at her. Humans don't beg when others are counting on us. He turned to Varix. Give me temporary control of station defense routing. Varix hesitated. Granting such control to a single being, especially a human, went against protocol. Then the gravity shifted again, harder this time. Varix made his choice. Granted. Instantly, Ethan's mind connected patterns. He didn't change the weapons. He changed how they appeared. False weakness, design, delayed response, slight errors left uncorrected on purpose. The Kithari saw it and smiled. They are failing, the Kithari commander said. Prepare the next phase. On Unity Station, Larasha watched Ethan work. His hands were steady, his voice calm. She realized something important. This was not anger, this was love shaped into defense. Dr. Kess spoke quietly. Your species frightens me. Ethan didn't look up. Good. It should. A sudden alarm rang, louder than before. External breach attempt detected. The Kithari ship moved closer. Energy fields pressed against the station's outer ring. Some crew cried out, "Curd." Others froze. Ethan raised his voice. Not loud, but firm. Listen to me. Stay behind the humans. Follow their lead. And they did. Without orders. Without debate. Because something deep inside them understood humans were built for moments like this. The first strike came. Not a weapon, but a message. A cold voice filled the command center. Unity Station. Surrender control. You are outmatched. Varix hesitated. Ethan stepped forward. No, we're not. The voice paused. Identify yourself. I'm human, Ethan said, and you touched my people. Silence. Whoa, then laughter. You mistake emotion for strength. Ethan smiled, slow and dangerous. That's your last mistake. Behind him, human crew members stood shoulder to shoulder with alien allies. Larasha felt something shift inside her. Not fear, but trust. She had thought humans were fragile. Now she knew better. Darka, the Kithari ship, powered weapons. Unity Station did not run. It waited, because humans never face danger alone. And the response they had triggered, once awakened, did not end quietly. The Kithari ship glided closer, black and jagged against the stars. Its engines made no sound humans could hear, but the pressure against Unity Station's outer hull was palpable. Crew members from other species scattered, seeking cover. Their instincts told them to run, to hide, to surrender. Humans did not run. Common Console. His hands steady, his mind worked in patterns, predictions, and possibilities. Every small detail mattered. The angle of the Kithari ship, the timing of their energy pulses, the flow of station power. He could feel these things, not just know them. Something deep inside, a primal human instinct, connected him to every living being on the station. Ethan! Larasha called. Her voice trembled slightly. They're preparing to breach the outer ring. What do we do? Ethan glanced at her. We don't panic. Humans only fail when we panic. Trust me. He tapped the console. Red warning lights flashed across the panels. Energy shields at maximum, but keep them from thinking we're weak. Make minor errors. just enough to bait them. Lirasha frowned. Bait them? Into what? Into underestimating us, Ethan said simply. The moment they do, we will strike. The humans around him instinctively leaned forward, adjusting shields, rerouting power, double-checking protocols. Others watched, waiting for instructions, but not hesitating. They acted in silent coordination, guided by the human instinct to protect and survive. The Cathari made their move. A pulse of energy struck the outer hull. Alarms blared. Lights flickered. Some crew members flinched. Ethan didn't move. When? Instead, he saw patterns. The pulse came from the ship's upper side, aimed where the station's defenses were weakest. Key to response sequence. Divert auxiliary shields to the lower ring. Overload sensors to mislead their targeting. Lirasha watched, wide-eyed. You can do all that in seconds? Without panic? Ethan shook his head. We've evolved for this. Protecting our people isn't optional. Another pulse hit. A section of the hull shuddered, but the humans had prepared it. The station held. The Cathari commander's voice boomed over the communication channel. Humans, you should surrender. You cannot survive this. Ethan leaned forward. We survive because we care. That is something you will never understand. Lirasha's eyes widened. Ease up. She realized it now. Humans were strongest not when fighting, but when protecting others. Every instinct, every reflex, every calculation was amplified by connection, by concern. Their emotions were tools sharpened into skill and focus. Ethan, the upper deck shields are weakening, a human engineer said, voice calm but urgent. Then we strengthen them, Ethan said. Mara, reroute auxiliary power through Sector 6. Everyone else, monitor the pressure differentials. We will not break. Outside, the Cathari ship shifted. Its long, jagged limbs glimmered as it prepared another strike. They are persistent, Lirasha whispered. They always are, Ethan said. But persistence is not strength, unity is. He moved through the command center like a calm storm, and around him reacted instinctively to his motions, to his voice, to his very presence. Small acts of protection multiplied. A human engineer blocked a collapsing hatch. Another adjusted the gravity field to stabilize a group of aliens who had frozen in panic. Every move was subtle, precise, and intentional. Correct her. The Cathari were not prepared for this. Their attacks were measured, expecting fear, chaos, and surrender. Instead, they found coordination, adaptability, and courage. The pulse came again. This time, Ethan predicted it before it even struck. Raise shields 2 milliseconds early, he said. Redirect excess energy to internal stabilizers. Watch Sector 5. There will be a ripple. The pulse hit. The hull shook, but the ripple passed harmlessly. Crew members glanced at each other in surprise. Humans were always careful, but now it felt like they could see the future. Lirasha stepped closer. It's impossible. Ethan smiled faintly. It's human. Not impossible, just focused. Dr. Kess adjusted his console. Fascinating. Their emotional bonding enhances reaction speed, coordination, and predictive ability. And it spreads. Other humans on the station are now acting as one organism. Yes, Ethan said, that's the bond. That's why humans survive. Together. Suddenly, a sharp alarm echoed. Breaching attempt at Sector 7. Hull integrity failing. Ethan's mind raced. He could feel the pressure of the hull, the shifting energy of the Cathari attack, and the fear of the crew. But fear was not his. Fear sharpened others' instincts. He spoke calmly. Everyone, block the breach. Physically, all humans guide non-human crew. Use your strength and numbers. Protect each other. Do not falter. The humans surged forward. In debris, others reinforced bulkheads. Lirasha followed their lead, amazed at the efficiency and courage of humans under stress. She realized the Cathari had misjudged them. Humans were strongest when others depended on them. The Cathari commander growled. How can a species so weak resist us? Ethan spoke into the communications channel. We are not weak, we are human, and our strength comes from care, not hatred. The ship fired another pulse. It hit the hull with tremendous force, but the humans had anticipated it. Shouts and movements rang through the corridors as they blocked falling panels, stabilized energy conduits, and redirected gravity fields. The station groaned, but held. Lirasha's heart raced. She wanted to help, but she also wanted to step back. She watched humans guide everyone, adjusting their movements instinctively, balancing fear, courage, and awareness. "Why don't they panic?" she asked Dr. Kess. "They can't," he said quietly. "Humans focus on protecting others. Fear takes a back seat. That is evolution." The Cathari fired again, aiming for the central hub. The pulse threatened to knock out the command systems. But Ethan had already thought of it. He signaled to Maralu. "Divert power from the secondary relay. Amplify the stabilizers. Sector 3, brace for feedback." The pulse hit! The command center shuddered violently. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. But the humans barely flinched. They moved in perfect harmony. Lirasha even felt her own heartbeat slow, as if the humans' confidence radiated outward, calming her. Ethan pressed his hand to the console. "Now!" he commanded. Humans and aliens alike followed his instructions. Energy fields rerouted to the attack points. The hull flexed instead of cracking. Shields flared, absorbing the pulse. The Cathari ship was momentarily thrown off balance. Commander Varix blinked. Unbelievable. They turned defense into offense without firing a single weapon. Ethan glanced at Lirasha. "That's humans. We don't need weapons when we protect what matters. Strength comes from unity." The Cathari commander roared in frustration. "Impossible! They act as one mind." "Not one mind," Ethan said quietly. "Many minds, many hearts. Connected." Nadu. The Cathari pulled back slightly, reassessing. The humans' actions had shown them that brute force would not work. Unity Station, once considered an easy target, had become a fortress, not just of metal and energy, but of connection, instinct, and will. Lirasha finally understood. Humans weren't the weakest species aboard. They were the most dangerous, not because they hated, not because they fought hard, but because they loved fiercely and protected relentlessly. Dr. Kess whispered into his console. "Fascinating." Emotional bonding as a weapon, nature intended for survival, becomes a form of strategy. Ethan kept his focus on the incoming pulses, the shifting energy, and the crew he was guiding. He didn't boast, pervert. He didn't celebrate. He led. And in that leadership, humans on Unity Station became unstoppable. The Cathari were forced to retreat, at least temporarily. Pulses lessened. Their ship disappeared behind a shimmer of space distortion. Unity Station trembled but remained intact. Humans and their allies breathed, exhausted but unharmed. Ethan finally exhaled. He looked at Lirasha. She had tears in her eyes, not fear, but awe. "I didn't understand," she said softly. "I thought humans were fragile, emotional, weak." Ethan shook his head. "Fragile, maybe in isolation. Alone, we falter. But together, we are unstoppable. Our feelings aren't weaknesses. They are our power." Dr. Kess tapped on his console. "I think I understand now. A human's care for others is more than just sentiment. It's strategy, instinct, and survival." Lirasha smiled faintly. "So, that moment when I sat on you, that triggered all this?" Ethan looked at her calmly. "It helped. Not because of what you did, but because it reminded me of what matters. Connection, trust, protection. Now a man. That is human. That is strength." Boo! The station began to stabilize. Lights returned to normal. Warnings cleared. But the memory of the attack lingered. Up it. Everyone knew it could happen again. Yet no one doubted the humans anymore. They had survived. They had led. They had protected. And Lirasha understood something fundamental. Humans were strongest when others counted on them. Their instinct to care was not a weakness, it was a weapon. Unity Station had survived the night. And humanity had shown its true nature. Unity Station's halls hummed with energy. But it was different now. The immediate threat of the Cathari had passed, but the memory of the attack lingered in every corner. Crew members moved more carefully, watching each other, adjusting shields, checking systems. The humans did not need orders. They had already become the center of the station's defense, the quiet heartbeat of security. Ethan Hale walked through the corridors with Larasha at his side. Her usual playful shimmer was now dim, replaced by awe and respect. "Oh, I never understood," she said softly. "Your species, it's not about strength or weapons. It's connection." Ethan nodded. "That's what makes humans dangerous in the right way. When we care about others, when we protect them, we become more than strong. We become unstoppable." In the command center, Commander Varix tapped his claw against the console. "I have never seen anything like this." The humans didn't just survive, they led. Dr. Kess leaned back, 4 eyes fixed on the monitors. "It's more than leadership, it's instinct shaped by emotion. Evolution designed humans to thrive when others depend on them. Every calculation, every reaction, they become more precise under care." Outside, the Cathari ship lingered at the edge of the station's detection range. It had not withdrawn entirely. Instead, it studied Unity Station, cautiously, reassessing its target. Reaction had altered its strategy. What had seemed like an easy conquest was now a high-risk gamble. Ethan addressed the station over the intercom. "Attention all crew. The immediate threat has passed. Systems are stable, but remain vigilant. Remember what we learned tonight? Strength is not just skill or weaponry. Strength is connection, trust, and care. That is what makes us human." A ripple of quiet agreement ran through the crew. Other species began looking at humans differently, not with amusement or suspicion, but with respect. Larasha smiled faintly. She had always admired other species for their skills, but humans had revealed something far more remarkable. In the days that followed, the station adjusted. Accessory routines were revised, security routines were rewritten. New were no longer seen as just new crew. They were vital. Their instinctive coordination and protective reflexes had saved not just themselves, but everyone aboard. Larasha approached Ethan in the observation ring, the familiar space where the story had begun. "I wanted to apologize," she said, "for sitting on you. I didn't know it would trigger that." Ethan smiled, the calm strength returning to his face. "Don't apologize. It wasn't about that. It reminded me of what matters, the people we protect. That is human. That is strength." She tilted her head, and now the entire station knows it. Ethan nodded. "Yes, and we will need to teach others. Not just humans. Everyone can learn from connection." The Galactic Council took notice. Reports of the Cathari's failed attack reached their ears. Analysts noted a new factor: humans' protective instincts. A council member commented, "Humans are emotionally unpredictable and highly effective. Their care for others amplifies their abilities." Soon, Unity Station hosted a meeting with representatives from all species aboard, warned not to attack again. But more importantly, humans were officially recognized as a species whose emotional strength equaled strategic advantage. For the first time in galactic records, an emotion was considered a tool for survival and power. Larasha attended the meeting with Ethan. "I still can't believe it," she whispered. "I thought emotions made humans weak." "They do in isolation," Ethan replied. "But together, our instincts sharpen, our perception improves, and our coordination is unmatched. Emotions become advantage, not liability." Outside the station, stars burned bright. The universe continued its indifferent path, but Unity Station had changed. Humans were no longer just observers or newcomers. They had proven themselves in a way few species could imagine. Back inside, the humans celebrated quietly, not with flashy displays, but with relief and satisfaction. They had survived. They had protected their friends. They had shown the galaxy the truth about their species. Larasha watched them, a faint smile on her lips. "You humans, you turn care into strength." Ethan looked at her. "We survive because we care. That is how we have always survived, and now we show the galaxy the same." Dr. Kess, observing from a nearby console, muttered softly, "Fascinating. Emotional bonding is a tactical advantage. Nature intended it for survival, and yet it becomes strategy. Ethan placed a hand on the console, feeling the pulse of the station. It was steady, secure, and alive. This is just the beginning. Humanity is not defined by weapons, numbers, or speed. We are defined by how much we care and what we will do to protect it. The station doors opened to allow fresh air and new supplies. Rovery answer. Crew members of all species moved freely again. Lirasha stepped aside, allowing Ethan to take a brief moment of quiet reflection. The events of the night, the Cathari attack, the alarms, the pressure, the threat, had shown everything the humans were capable of, and humans had passed the test. Sia. Lirasha turned to him, her voice quiet but serious. Ethan, may I sit next to you? I think I understand now. Ethan raised an eyebrow but smiled faintly. You may, but this time, I think we'll both understand what it means. She sat beside him, careful this time. No misunderstanding, no misstep, just trust. Outside, the stars stretched into infinity. Unity Station glowed softly, a testament to collaboration, survival, and unexpected strength. Humans had survived not through firepower or fear. They had survived because they cared. What? They had survived because they acted as one when it mattered most, and in that, the galaxy had learned a new truth. Humans were not fragile. Humans were extraordinary. For the first time, many species realized that strength did not always roar. Sometimes it protected, sometimes it connected, and sometimes it quietly became unstoppable. Unity Station would never forget the night humans showed what they were truly capable of.